Alrighty, good morning everyone. Welcome to the stream and to the show. This is Monday Meta Madness, and this is episode 13. Today we're going to be looking at a Sapphire Wild deck, a deck that I'm going to be calling Flying High. So let's have a look at some of the key cards here. So again, this is episode 13, Monday Meta Madness, Flying High. So the key cards, we've got Runier Hierophant, obviously a very staple card in the meta right now in lots of decks. And in this version, he is going to be flying. Hence the typo there, you might think, but no, it's intentional because the flying bunny over here. What's better than a flying bunny? I don't know, but so yeah, got the Cyclone Shaper as well in the deck, Brown Fox Scout, and we got Vine Lash. So this is two of the key things here. You can probably guess that yes, it is indeed using Boris as the champion. So let's go have a look at the deck list, and we'll look at the champion first. So let's get into that now. Alright, so here we are at the deck list, and we're going to first, as I said, look at the champion. Throughout the show, if anyone has questions in the chat, feel free to post them, and I will get to them as quick as I can. Just put @HEX in front of it. If you're watching via YouTube, please just comment with any questions you may have. Alright, so the champion, here we go. Boris Blastforge. For those of you unfamiliar with him, he's got a 2-cost double Sapphire Threshold charge power. That is target troop gets flight. So that's the kicker here, hence the flying bunny. We've got the champion power here at only 2 charges to give flight. So you can, if you're lucky enough to get the curve, you can do Howling Brave into your bunny, which is obviously one of the most popular curves at the moment in lots of decks. Getting that, it's very tough to deal with for many decks to handle because of how out of control the bunny gets with the major gem of creating rhinos. So the rhinos here, 3/3s with Crush, and then obviously he grows every time a troop enters play. So that's, Boris Blastforge with the Runier is one of the main combos there. But then you've obviously got the fact that it makes these, the Vine Lash and Turbulence, pretty damn good removal, provided you've got the charges. So, you can use it to kill pretty much anything in the early game, and Turbulence obviously having the upside of being able to kill flyers without needing to give them flight. And obviously Vine Lash has the ability to do 4 damage, which is enough for early game threats, mid-game threats, and then maybe it won't be able to work in the late game, and that's why you've also got the Turbulence. So if you've got one or the other, you use the Vine Lash first. But yeah, anyway, let's look at each card in the deck, and then we'll go over the key cards and all that stuff again. So we got the 8 Wild Shards, 8 Sapphire Star as well, 3 Shard of Instincts. One thing I will mention is this is a deck list that the guild I'm in, Dragonborn Guild, has been a lot of members have been running this. I think Neurogenus was the first one to start doing it, and it's gone through several iterations since then. But a lot of guildmates have had very high success in Gauntlet with the deck, so it's been doing very well. You can check it out on Hex Meta. Just search for either Genus or JJ, Jadim Jedi. I know those guys have been running it a lot. This version here is, I think, JJ's latest iteration. But yeah, so as I was saying here, you've got the 3 Shard of Instincts, the 4 Howling Plains Bluegrass, which is nice to have because you've got enough Coyotal to make use of this. You don't need the diamond, but it's just it's a good fixer that you're not in the case of the Shard of Instinct, you don't get the resource for the turn. So this is obviously very nice to be able to include. Then there's the 4 Howling Braves, which again very much part of the meta at the moment, due to how many people are doing various ramp stuff. But this into the Runier is obviously the most common. 4 Arcane Focus, obviously very good value with the 1-cost Sapphire look at 2 cards. So just really good value card there. Then we've got the 3 Vine Lash, which we just saw is the deal 4 damage. Obviously synergizing with the Boris Blastforge charge power. Then we got a couple Young Seers, which is, when this enters play, the next troop in your deck gets -2 now. This is a card that originally the list had 4 of, and I'm not a huge fan of it because, well, the original list didn't have Like, it had a lot of things that you wouldn't want to hit. Whereas this list here, the newer list that JJ is running, he's obviously changed it. One thing, he's got less Young Seers, so that's I already like that, because the Young Seer, if you have 4 of those, 4 Braves, and then maybe you've got like Brown Fox Scout's okay to hit, but it's also another one that you don't want to. You're obviously, and you don't want to hit the Runier either. Like there's so having 4 of them is what I was iffy about, and that would have been my first change, to either take them all out. Going down to 2 seems fine to me. But yeah, you got that. You don't want to hit, because if you hit something, like these lackluster, especially a Howling Brave or a Brown Fox, Wakuna Crowfeather's okay. Obviously, Windsinger is a good one, but you don't want to reduce cost of stuff that is not impactful. Otherwise, this card you're basically downing yourself a card to do bugger all if you hit the lackluster stuff like the Fox, the Brave, like the worst 2. And the Runier is also not that great either, so you wouldn't want to hit either of those, any of those. So that's it's 12 cards already plus the extra Seer, so that's 13 cards you don't want to hit. And the cards you do want to hit, you've got like 2 Cyclone Shapers, because hitting an Empower card with Young Seer is obviously extremely good. So you would like to hit this. That's obviously a very nice one. So you got 2 of those, 2 of this, and 4 of that. So there's your ideals, right? So it's still only 8 cards. So you obviously, more often than not, unless you're a luck sack like JJ, more often than not, you're not going to hit what you want to hit. But that's it's not, you're going to be hurting yourself a little bit, but it's not the end of the world. But yeah, that is one thing I don't like about Young Seer. It's again, if you've got a lot of targets, then by all means, it's great. But in this case, it's okay. The previous list, I think, was a lot worse in terms of how many targets you actually wanted to hit versus how many you don't. Anyway, that's enough on the Young Seer. So then we got obviously 2 Turbulence as well for more synergy, plus any people running flyers themselves, you've got that as well. So already the deck is good against vampires, for example, which obviously have fallen out of the meta. But then we've got the Brown Fox Scout, which is just a really good card. I've been a huge fan of this card for a very long time, but it's one thing that does answer your opponent's early Runiers, because if they're not running Boris, well then they're coming in on the ground with the bunny. Let's say they've played a troop main phase to make it a 3/3, so they hit in for more damage. A Brown Fox Scouts can still deal with that. Brown Fox Scout is a very nice card, and can be played off the top of the deck, which is just incredibly good value. Then we've got some counter magics here. So, quick action, interrupt target card. Pretty self-explanatory there. Obviously working well with the Cyclone Shaper. Now this is here because you want to hit your Young Seer on this, and then you play it for 2 cost, and then all your actions are basically free. You'll have counter magic for nothing. You'll have this for 1. These for 1 cost technically, if you have one of these in play, empowered. And that's just just really nice if it sticks around. So then we got 2 Lenopause Sight, which is now this is a card that I'm not sure about it in this list, and I'll tell you why. Like, it's a great card, don't get me wrong, it's a very good card, but because you need to play the card to draw a card, there's a lot of cards in the deck you can hit that you're not immediately going to be playing. So while you might cast this, you can cast it as early as turn 2 if you do Brave into Sight, so you don't have the optimal curve. That would be a decent curve, but then you might hit something like Counter Magic, or a Turbulence, or a Vine Lash, and then if you want to get that card draw, you may be like, well, there's a troop on the board, I could do the combo there, kill it, and then you get your card. That's great, but if it's maybe it's something you don't want to kill because it's just not important, so it's you don't want to use your optimal your very good removal plus your chance power. But if you hit something that you don't want to just play, or like counter magic is the biggest example, because you might first of all you need to have something to counter for you to get that card back, so it's a little bit iffy. Also, obviously hitting, like if you were to hit the Windsinger and you can't play it for many more turns, well then you're not going to get that card, so you're not going to get all the card draw. You're not going to just chain it real quickly in a lot of cases. So yeah, I mean that's one thing to consider. Maybe you know, maybe you might want to change that. But it could obviously hit many things that would be fine, from Brown Fox Scouts to Young Seers to Braves to Focus, Runeers, things that you want to be playing. You don't really have to hold them for too long. That's obviously fine. But yeah, the more things you have in a deck with Lanapor's Sight that you're likely to hold for several turns, makes it a little bit worse, basically, is what I'm getting at. So we obviously have the Rune here himself, obviously with Spell Shield and the Rhinos. Then we've got Raccoon Crowfeather now. I asked JJ, was this basically for just to make it so your later game draws with the deck is basically just better for, you know, you say you draw a Howling Brave in the late game, it's obviously bad. But if you've played a Raccoon Crowfeather, well, then that makes it a little bit better, provided you don't hit a Rune here in between, because that would interrupt the chain. Everything else is a Coyote after all. But not, you know, sadly this guy is a Shin Hair, so that does, you know, the odds of hitting that over one of these Coyotals, fairly slim. But that is one of the upsides to running Raccoon Crowfeather. It is also a decent target to hit with a Young Seer, making it a 2-cost. Again, you know, most of the troops are Coyotal except for the Shin Hair there. But you know, again, if you're not familiar with the card, it basically just makes it so the next troop in your deck gets +2/+2 in flight. If it's a Coyotal, it gets this power, so you can have it chain. So that's the only card here, the only troop that can interrupt the chain is the Rune Hierophant. Obviously, after reserves, which we'll get to in a minute, the chain can also be interrupted by some other cards. And then last but not least, we have the Windsinger, Master of the Hunt. So most people will be familiar with this one, obviously extremely popular in our previous sets. I should say previous set, because he only got introduced last set. But yeah, obviously was extremely good back then. Still is a very good card, but the meta has is a lot faster now, so it is a lot harder to, especially in these colors, to hold out. So most people are doing very aggressive things with things like this guy. So that's the main deck. Again, if you have questions, feel free to ask. Let me actually just make sure everything's going smoothly here. Alright, looks good. Alright, so the reserves, we've got another 2 Turbulences there. We have 2 Verdicts, which is just another Interrupt, but it's for non-troop cards. We've got 2 Wind of Change, very good for, you know, any decks doing lots of constants. So that's, you know, it also heals. We've got Scorn of Oberon, which is good against artifacts and constants, and can also revert troops, which can be relevant. So 2 of those as well. 4 Succulent Cluckodons for a really nice health gain. Plus anyone running very aggressive decks with lots of 1-drops. This is obviously nice to have. Again, this is, if you were to bring this in, it does interrupt the chain, but you'd probably be taking out the Raccoon Crowfeather if you're bringing in all of these. That would be very likely what you do. Now this is a deck I haven't actually run yet myself, but that's, I would imagine that would be the first thing. If you want to bring in all 4 of these, you're taking out your Raccoon Crowfeathers, most likely. But yeah, I'm not too you know, it would depend on the matchup, obviously. And then you've got Crocosaur, another one which obviously not a Coyotal. That would just be weird. But so Croco is obviously nice as a 2-of there. And then we have one, this guy is a Coyotal, the Greenpaw Emancipator, so another good Empower troop. I'm not really certain why it's there in the side, but it's you know, it is a good card, especially if you do hit it with a Young Seer. Otherwise, it's it's not sure what the intended purpose of this in the side was for. I think one of Mass Poly could be good, but then again, the deck isn't running Chlorophylla, so it doesn't have a lot of ramp. So Mass Poly is probably, you know, way too slow, even in the reserves for a deck like this. And you're wanting to be the aggressor anyway, and you have potentially the removal that you need. So that's pretty much the deck and the reserves. So again, the key cards, you know, if you want to build this deck or a deck like it, the key stuff you basically need if you want to do a Boris deck is obviously having the Vine Lashes and Turbulences. They're very inexpensive, being commons and uncommons. The Runeer is obviously the most important card for the deck. The Howling Brave you need. You don't necessarily need to do like Cyclone Shaper stuff. You could do something else instead of Lanapor's. Young Seer potentially could be changed out as well. You know, a bunch of this stuff. But the main meat and potatoes is obviously the Runeer your anti-air stuff with the champion. Brown Fox Scout is definitely good because in Wild and Sapphire there is really not that many answers for ground-based bunnies, and this is one of the good ones, as there's not much else in these colors that can deal with a turn 2 bunny. So Brown Fox Scout is also needed, but also relatively inexpensive for the normal art version. This is the alternate art version, which also can be picked up fairly cheap at times as well. But yeah, so that's the deck there. Let's go jump into some games with it and show it in action, because I've talked way too much already, so let's go. So I'm going to go to a play random opponent here. Flying high, challenge, and we'll see how long that takes. Hopefully not too long, but then we'll see it in action. So again, this is a deck that a lot of guildmates have been running and doing very well with, so we'll see how it works for me, see how my luck is with it. See if those young seers, I mean I might not even draw any young seers, but if I do, let's hope they don't hit other young seers or braves, or because again it's not what you want to hit. Hitting a Brown Fox Scout can be okay, like if it means you're getting out multiple early dudes. So we don't exactly have a really strong curve here. It's a keepable hand. It's just not the most amazing curve. Esoterist. So we got a challenge. Well, we got him. He's jumped in the thing there. All right. So let's kick his butt. We'll try to. So we're gonna keep this hand. It's not the greatest, but he's potentially running Uzu Cannon, which is using this champion, which is Uzu, with Azure Fate Master Moss as the main win condition. Alright, so let's minimize that, and let's see how we go here. So turn 1 I've got the Arcane Focus. Now the bad thing about, obviously, if he is running that, which is very, very likely, if he gets the Azure Fate, it's got Spell Shield. I'm not going to be able to Divine Lash pretty much anything. That's a decent draw. Yeah. It's going to be a pretty hard matchup with this hand that I've kept. I mean, technically I probably should have mulliganed, but it was a keepable hand. But it probably wasn't good enough for this matchup. So we'll see. Alright, so he has the potential to easily get out what am I going to play here? So he's not necessarily going to tap that. I could potentially play this and then do that, but I'm just going to... I'm going to need a Staff or whatever. Let's just grab a Wild here and play out the Young Seer and hope to hit something amazing. Because if he's got the Azure Fate Sorceress, I'm in trouble, to put it simply. Now I guess I could have killed this, but it's already too late. Like, he had the Chlora, so all he needs is one more resource. If he doesn't have the resource, then killing this would have been correct. But alright, so he doesn't have the Azure Fate, so that's good. He's just got a Cheese Myth, so that's fine. That is definitely fine. So that's beatable. And Azure Fate would have been pretty bad though. Alright, so we hit something we don't want to hit, which is the Howling Brave. Not great. Not great at all. Not good. And yeah, so I'm just gonna... Woo! So that's my luck. That's about sums that up. Not hitting, and that's, again, I like, Young Seer is great in a limited environment because a 1/2 for 1 is fantastic. In a constructed environment, it's just a jump blocker in nearly every case. Whereas in limited, you're gonna be able to kill things with this. Like, there's very, very likely in nearly every game, your opponent will have several troops with 1 health that this will be able to trade with. So it's a good 1-drop in limited. However, in constructed, yeah, I mean, even if you were to only run a deck, I mean, if you only run a deck with all troops that you want to hit and then 4 of these, that's definitely good and does work very nice. But yeah, that's a problem. But yeah, unlucky. Come on, just attack. Come on. Ah, the win. So we'll just play it out, whatever. I can play out my Crow Feather, which is nothing fantastic. Like, I'm going to take some damage from this guy. That's just how it is. So we'll play out the Crow Feather. We haven't drawn any bunnies now, so can I get unlucky again? We'll soon find out. I'm not gonna... I mean, I can't even give flight yet because it's double sapphire, so off to a very bad start. My opponent off to a decent start. He's not off to his most explosive start either, though. But yeah, he is running the Root Fathers as well. And he's got this for the Ruby when he needs it. So if he grabs like a Ruby now, then that's probably pretty bad news. That could mean a Root Father is coming down, and that would be bad. But there's a Croco anyway, so that's also extremely bad. So I'm pretty dead pretty quickly. Yeah. Not gonna last very long here. Not gonna last very long. So I might as well just jump to 5. Again, like, the hand I kept, I should have just mulliganed. You know, if it was a real game, it's very likely what I would have considered against this champion. It just wasn't explosive enough. So yeah, I'm not drawing very well at all. Still can't even use this to do this. You know, that shard I used earlier to get the wild, proving to be the wrong choice, obviously. Anyway, we will have hang on this Shafty. We will have the reserves to tweak, but we'll just hopefully get a better curve next time. Why is my chat not working? Alright, so he's got the Root Father now, so we're going to hit escape, and we're going to quit as soon as that hits the stack. Before it even hits the stack, yep, there it is. No point going further there. Alright, because that doesn't... yeah, no, never mind. So, let's do that again. I forgot that the random opponent doesn't actually have best of 3. But we'll go again and see if we can get a... You know, again, like I said, when I knew the hand was keepable, it just wasn't... Against that deck, it wasn't good enough. So yeah, we'll go again, and this time we'll mulligan if it's what we should do. So we'll see. My chat working yet? No, still not working. Let's try and fix that. Is that working? Chat. Why is my Twitch alerts chat not working? This is weird. It's like not even... Got no indication if it's... Test. Oh, there we go. It's working now. Alrighty. Just wondering why that wasn't showing up on the stream there. So yeah, if you want to go again, Esoterrorist, just jump back in the random opponent thing. This time I will, like, the hand I kept was keepable. It just wasn't, it wasn't good enough. And I said that it probably wouldn't be, so it was a hand I probably should have mulliganed against the Yuzu Cannon deck. But yeah. I'll give this another 30 seconds or so. If it doesn't find anyone, I'll just go against the AI, and maybe we'll have to show off the deck's good curves instead of my young Sears hitting Howlin' Brave. Woo! Alright, here we go. Let's just do that. So, where is it? Practice. So let's see if we can get a good curve here with the deck. I will mulligan though to try and get a better curve. Yeah, that's fair. So I'm covering a deck that a lot of guildmates have been running successfully in Gauntlet. Alright, so this hand is definitely keepable, so we're gonna do it. It sucks to have that guy on the top though, like right now. So yeah. Doesn't really matter what I play here. So no Howling Brave, sadly. No Young Seer, no turn 1 play. It's sad, but we have a decent turn 2 and turn 3, so it was a keepable hand, but okay, that's actually really nice. I love the value of this card. It's just so good, so good. So, if obviously my opponent had played a turn 2 bunny, would have the answer for it. In this case, we're going to just trade with this officer. So that seems perfectly fine. So we'll do that, and then after I might do another game after this as well, and then I'm going to do some of my own tweaks to the deck. Like I'm still not sure about Young Seer. I mean, with my luck, I would probably just hit Howling Braves every time. But yeah, I think I actually have a deck that's similar that I was building but didn't really do anything with, that I may take some ideas from. Like one thing this deck could run, well, yeah, like it could run a Side of the Sun, giving you another good turn 2 play with the Howling Brave. But that's the thing, right? Is if you don't get the Howling Brave, you don't have that explosiveness. So wait, I didn't have the wild when I played. I wasn't paying attention, but it's in a conflicted now. Whatever. So, yeah. So obviously, if this wasn't in a conflicted, we could fly in if we needed to. In this case, we wouldn't need to, and get guaranteed runners, which is nice. But yeah. So Malachus, how you doing, man? Do you want to quickly verse me with some sort of deck? Yeah, I'm not good at drawing my thresholds. Not good at that. Alright, let's get... Oh, we got the spell shield now. We're good. Woo! Yay! So, just, here's the interaction here with, well, Turbulence, for example. So we can just kill that. Bloody blah. This I could obviously play as quick, but I'm just going to play it now, because whatever. But yeah, so we didn't get an explosive curve again, so let's just quit there. And let's just... why is it not quitting? There we go. You're at work, fair enough. Let's do the random opponent again. Obviously doing against the AI is not interesting in the slightest. But, yeah, we'll see. I'm really not sure about Young Seer in a deck where you're running, like, especially like a mono wild deck, or maybe that's your base. You're running like, there's lists that people have done in the past where, they were doing this, I think very early on, after Primal Dawn release. There was things like, Young Seer into, you got Justicar, you've got all the different Empower stuff, like just loads of really good quality stuff to hit. Limiting the amount of bad hits is obviously, and that's very likely the reason why JJ with this list went down to 2 Young Seer, is because the more Young Seers, the more bad hits as well, because you don't want to hit a Young Seer, you don't want to hit your Brave, you don't want to hit your Fox. There's a lot of things you don't want to hit. Alright, looks like we'll just do the AI again. So I just want to show a good curve, like a good curve. Like the deck has really good curves that beats a lot of decks. Like I'll bring up Hex Meta shortly. But, well, maybe, I don't know. But, play first, yeah. So we'll see if we can get a good curve here. The deck can have curves that just, very, very hard to beat. This is not one of them. See, this is, again, this is just floobs. Give me a good curve, damn it. I don't know. Alright, so we're just gonna do this until I get a good damn curve. Damn it. Which may never happen. My luck is just the floobs. Come on. Just give me one good curve. A good example of what the deck can do. But as I said, the deck has been winning a lot in Gauntlet. But I haven't played it myself in Gauntlet. Which is probably for the best based on my luck here. Alright, I'm not going to quit this time. We're going to just keep whatever we get, if it's keepable. Alright, so that's keepable, so we'll do it. And we'll see what we can make out of it. So I am going to do the focus here. First. Oh, wow. I don't need 2 bunnies. Let's just get that, and hopefully, yeah. Where's the God Curves, damn it? Where's the God Curves? That's floobs. It's floobs. Oh, there's the Brave now. It's a bit late, buddy. Alright, well, we're gonna have to hopefully draw a Sapphire. Like, I'm running the list exactly as everyone else. Well, okay, not exactly as everyone else, but as JJ's been running it. You right there, brother? Alright, yeah. Cracking Bolt, my dude. Cheers. I need a... Alright, so I did get the resource. Sadly, it's a Flooby Shard. Yeah, might as well. Just gonna kill this here. And I'm gonna use the Turbulence just because it is the more expensive one. While it is the more versatile in targets, I'm just gonna use my resources more effectively here. And that way, if I hit a resource, I can use this and this, for example. And there we go. Alright, so that's better. It's obviously extremely slow. Very slow start. Don't get a threshold, but that's not important. So now I can play out the rune here. We can now... So that worked out, you know, there's the example there. You need to think about your future plays. And like, while this is the better removal, for the longer a game goes, against an aggro deck, you know, they're going to have lots of stuff that dies Divine Lash anyway. But being able to do my threat, you know, and do Divine Lash the next turn was obviously important. So in this scenario, I could just leave up Counter Magic. I'm going to be greedy. We're against the AI. But I think the correct move would be to just leave up, especially against a Ruby player. Like, Heatwave is one of I mean, well, now it doesn't matter. Now that he's grown, I don't have to worry about Heatwave. But leaving up counter would probably still be the correct move. I mean, it's against the AI, so it doesn't really mean anything. You would have to take into account what champion you're playing and what you think your opponent is playing based on that. So we'll do that. We'll do that. Get another bunny. We'll take that. I think lashing that was wrong though. I mean, it's the AI, man. It doesn't. It's all wrong. It's all wrong. But so you know, we've got, you know, the things we're showing off basically in the deck. The main things that it's got going for it is the good cheap removal with the champion here, and the ability to make sure, like, the ideal thing is to obviously get your bunny, give it flight, and just win that way. Like, it's very tough to beat a bunny once it gets going. Because it obviously just creates all the threats you could need, and then you just hold up counter like I'm doing now. So yeah, obviously well, the game's over, but you know, yeah. Well, I mean, it's against the AI. The deck, no one's ever going to run this deck that AI's running. So it doesn't actually, like, we're just showing off the interactions is all I'm doing there. So let's go back and have a look at the deck again. I think, did I sell a bunny? I think I sold a bunny. I had one bunny, yeah, I sold him. Surprising it's still selling for so much. But, well, I mean, it's not really. It's really not surprising, I guess. It's obviously very much in the meta. So, hence the reason we're covering a deck with it, but there's just so many decks, that so many different ways. So, let's talk about ways to beat the deck. I mean, just have your opponent draw badly like me. That's one way to beat it. But the one thing, obviously, in the meta right now that is, for some reason, not many people are using it, which is very strange to me. I'm not playing much Constructor lately, more limited at the moment. But Heatwave is still something that is the best answer. You know, one of the best answers. Well, it is technically the best answer for a turn 1 Brave into Runier, which is, for most decks that are running these cards, that is their best curve, their best for initial play. So if they get their best initial play, and then you beat that best initial play with just one card, well, that's fantastic, obviously. So you know, it is easily one of the best cards to answer this combo. And the rest of this deck also, a lot of it does also die to Heatwave. Obviously, some of the stuff doesn't. So while you could take out that stuff, and that would be very bad for the deck, it still has ways to potentially get, you know, stay in the game. But yeah, that's, if they get their God Curve of Brave into Runier, and you've got this, well then you're very happy. Now, the downside too, obviously, Heatwave, if you don't have it and you draw it the turn later, well, it's too late. So you need to have it turn 2, basically. Or if you're on the play, then you just need to have it for your turn 3, I guess. But, that's just the way it is, right? If you get it at the right time, you've got it in your opening hand, they do that curve, then that's very good. You're in a very good position. But if you miss it, if you miss that opportunity, well then you're gonna miss out on having that work, unless you're in well, no, it still probably won't work. But if you're in a blood ruby deck with Yodel, then you have maybe some other ways to deal with it, but also extinction. But yeah, how much work does Crowfeather do in the deck now? So the Crowfeather. Yeah, I mean, I asked JG about that because I was curious myself, because that's something he's added in himself. And yeah, I think it's just his latest change to the deck. I do agree that it seems weird, that's why I kind of asked him. I figured it was just because, Young Seer onto Crowfeather is decent, and that the deck does run a lot of Coyotel, as I mentioned earlier. So it does make it so, late game draws of Brave, Young Seer, any of this stuff is better. And they can potentially chain. Obviously, the chain can be interrupted. But yeah, it's if I was to change the deck, I would probably just take out the Young Seers. I would, I'd take out these. I would probably take out the Cyclone Shapers. While they're nice, if I was going to use them, I would go all in on them and try and do several ways to make them better. Whereas this deck is very reliant on Young Seer. I mean, playing it for 3 is okay. Playing it on 3 is okay. Sadly, you can't ever play it turn 2 with a Brave. But yeah, it's... these I would probably take out. I would maybe take out the Lanapor Sight, just because, again, you've got several cards in this deck that... that you're probably going to hold in your hand, so the Lanapor Sight will not pay off. You may be holding a couple of card drawing cards for several turns before you get that payoff. So yeah, then you've got I would take out Raccoon Crowfeather. I'd probably just do. I mean, I don't even know if I would run Windsinger, just because of the fact that you're taking out the Young Seer, so it makes it's very slow as well. Actually, I did make a deck that was using Boris. Let's see if I still have it. I may have something what I was trying. I guess I do. Yeah, I think it's these here. So this is where I was trying to do more to, like I said, I would try, if I was going to do the Cyclone Shapers, I would go more sort of not all, well, kind of all in on it. So you'll see what I've done here. It is using 4 Young Seer, which I'm still not sure about this card, but the reason for it is because hitting a Young Seer onto Side of the Sun, which is also another, the thing I'm utilizing here, in this isn't even a Boris deck, I might add, but that can obviously be changed. Like if I was to use Boris here, take out the Transmogrifates for Vine Lashes and Turbulence. But again, I'm just taking some ideas from a different deck. So Side of the Sun is something you can obviously run as a turn 2 play with Howling Brave, giving you another threat. And then if you hit it with a Young Seer, it also means that you can very likely play it out and have like a Verdict or a Counter Magic open. So if you were to do Cyclone Shaper, that's probably going to how you're going to want to try and do it to utilize it better. But that's just some ideas for the Cyclone Shaper. I have the... Let's see what other ideas we can take from this one. So I think this is, so this is where I was doing Boris. So this was, wanting to get more value out of the Prophecy from the Young Seer, because obviously he's lackluster. So again, we've got the Brave. Now, what are the logic behind this version here, which for some reason I'm missing 4 cards. What is gone? I'm not sure what's missing, but anyway, that's not important. So the logic behind what I'm running here is the fact that turn 1 Brave into Runier and Side of the Sun is good. I mentioned the Side of the Sun just now. That gives you a lot of good threats with that curve. But because you're not always going to get the Brave, you know, just like you saw in the examples I just did running the deck, I didn't get the Braves on turn 1. I had some pretty lackluster hands. So my idea, my thinking here was, well, then I need threats for turn 2. So, you know, then we've got, you know, Starkfall Agents, Elder of Visions. So we have all this prophecy, early dudes we can put down. And then, you know, even if you do a Young Seer on turn 1, you hit like an Elder, you can put that down, and then very likely put something else down on the same turn, because you have a lot of 2-drops. So you have basically you don't get the Brave, you've still got loads of things you can then play the next turn. That is not exactly the best of threats, but you do have, you know, 12 cards right there. This is still a deck that's work in progress, but it's just the logic there is obviously you still have something you can play, even if you don't get your God curves of, you know, Brave into Bunny, which is obviously what you want. And then you've still got Lanapor's Sight, and this deck works better with Lanapor's Sight, because you're not really, you know, it's actually probably missing Counter Magic, I guess, or no, maybe not. I can't remember what the last 4 cards I had in here were, but it's, as again, it's still a work in progress of the main concept. But yeah, by having Lanapor's Sight in this type of deck, you really don't have much you're going to be holding. You know, Vine Lash you may hold because there's no optimal target yet. Side of the Sun you may hold because you've already got one on the board. Other than that, everything else you can slam down and just keep getting your card draw. But yeah, there's some ideas there to take away. So again, we'll go back to the original list here. It's a bit, you know, with my luck, it's, you know, without the Brave, the deck is obviously, can be just too slow. With how I drew anyway. Let's do some test draws and have a look. So, this is pretty decent, depending on how it draws here, which actually wasn't, that's not that great, you know, so that wouldn't have been anything special. There we go, that's a much better example of a good opening hand. It's maybe a little bit too many shots, but you've got your turn 1 Brave into Runia, which is nice. And then some pretty decent draws there. So let me have a look at chat here. What have we got? What are you guys talking about? Yeah, Young Seer. I mean, it's as I was saying, it's something I'm really not sure about. I really am not. You just, like, if I was gonna run Young Seer, like, I want to have multiple ways to make it do better stuff. Like in the example I showed just now of the other deck, you know, I'm using a lot of stuff that works with Prophecy. Just a lot of low-cost stuff that we can get out quick. But yeah, if you either go for all your Empower type stuff and just have 4 Young Seers, maybe you're still running your Braves as well. So you still, like, that's the problem with Young Seer, obviously, is in most cases you're still going to have like 8 cards at minimum that you don't want to hit with a Young Seer. But as long as you have enough threats, enough good targets, well then, you know, you just have to hope that you get lucky enough to hit those more often than you don't. But yeah, it's still... yeah, no, I have that a lot as well. Shafty. So yeah, let's do a couple more of those. So we'll get the Brave. So this is an okay hand because we can do the Bluegrass here, play the Brave, and then do like a Lanapor's Sight. Whoops, I meant to click draw 1, I clicked over there anyway. So that's Floobs. That's okay. There's this, well, no, this would have been good if it had a wild shot. So, if I was on the draw, it would get one, so that's okay. And again, this works with Coyoodles, so plenty of those. Well, 2 of them anyway. So that would have been a risky keep. I mean, with the focus, you know, it's keepable because of the focus. But yeah, so that would have been an okay hand. That's pretty bad. Yeah, it's pretty bad. Pretty bad. Pretty damn bad. And there's another good one. So there's, you know, that's another good hand. You have to, again, it's all about this combo, right? Getting that's your main, one of your main ways to win. The late game for the deck, you've got the Windsinger, obviously, to help you out, and you've still got counters. But yeah, I mean, I would need to test the deck more to really see what I would change. But the first thing I would consider is what can I do instead of Young Seers, and what do I want to do. There's another card that people are running a lot of is Transmogrifade, which is a really good 1-cost Sapphire card. I'll bring that up real quick. It's something that I would consider, but I'd probably just put it in the reserves, as it's really great on 1-drops. Did I read what? Let me see here. Yeah, no, I agree. If Young Seer could only hit cards that cost 2 or greater, yeah, that would be much, much better. Then you could, you could do a lot of things with it. Then that would be really nice. That would, because then you would never hit Howling Braves or Young Seers, and that would maybe be too good. I think that would honestly be too good, because then I would just every deck would be doing this. The Howling Brave, Young Seer, every deck would be doing that, and then just not running, suboptimal stuff like maybe you wouldn't run the Brown Fox Cat, and then everything, it'd be so good, it'd be so good. But anyway, so Transmogrifade is an okay option. I'm not a huge fan. I'm not sure about this card yet. I mean, there's obviously, again, it's really good against 1-drops. Sometimes it's good enough to just use because it's your only option. Let's see what it turns into. But due to the fact that it is completely random, you could, turn a troop that's killing you into something else that's still killing you. So it's, and this deck doesn't need that anyway because it's got Divine Lashes and stuff, and it doesn't help against Spell Shield. So that wouldn't be what I bring in, but I definitely would probably look in taking this out, the Wind Singers, the Wakunas, and going from there. But yeah, as I said, the deck has been doing very well for a lot of guildmates, so feel free to try it out and test your luck with it. Yeah. So what I'll do here is I'll try to find another opponent. We'll go once more. And so do you have to cast dudes for Prophecy to trigger? Is it what? Do you have to cast dudes for Prophecy to trigger? Yeah, it's when they enter play. So it would work off Hive Creation. Hang on there. Aristalis does indeed work with Janebot, yes. Alright, let me catch up on the chat here while we look for a game. Yeah, I mean, Seer is there to, let's test my luck. I want to hit the Cyclone Shaper, I want to hit the Windsinger, and all that good stuff. But, in this deck, especially the previous version, which had 4 Young Seers, there was just, in my opinion, too many. It was like a very big split between how many bad targets there were and how many good targets there were. So, and that's not good in my opinion. So, this deck's only running the 2 Young Seers, but there's still a lot of targets you don't want to hit. So, Agatham. Alright, he's running a Winter Moon. Let's see how we can go here. Will we get a good curve? We've got the bunny. No Brave. I mean, this is again, you don't have that explosive curve, but I mean, it's a hand. It's keepable. Very much keepable. But yeah, and the problem. See, the problem is, right, that, I mean, maybe I'll get a Brown Fox Scout or something, but if my opponent has the God Curve, well, it can easily decide the game, right? Very easily decide the game. Thankfully, I'm on the play, though, so that does make a pretty big difference. So we're going to do the Arcane Focus here. We're going to grab the Lashy Lash, because we're going to need potentially some removal here. Sadly, it doesn't work against Spell Shield, of course. But yeah, and there's really, I mean, that's the tough thing, right? In the current meta, Spell Shield is obviously, I mean, Spell Shield's always been a problem. Last meta, obviously, Azure Fate, towards the end of the meta anyway, towards the end of the set, Azure Fate, the deck I made, took over in terms of pretty much it's dominating stuff, and then all that jazz, but that's, the power of Spell Shield's always been a thing. Let's grab a Wild Shard here, and we'll pass the turn. But now Spell Shield is even earlier. You can have earlier threats with Spell Shield, and that's why I'm surprised at the amount of decks that aren't running Heatwave. I really am, because with the amount of people that are running this card, it is quite surprising. so, let's grab the Sapphire here. We will pass the turn. Well, maybe I should have played the bunny. Too late now though, I already hit my end turn button. And I don't, you know, I'm doing the Sapphire for this, obviously. He's running Scissor G's, so, curious. Alright, so that's a great target to counter, because he's obviously wanting to do a Crash of Beasts style deck. So getting rid of one of his main win conditions is probably for the best. So now we'll put down the bunny. Yeah, let's put down the bunny now. Heat Wave isn't really a fun card, even if it is good. What does that even mean? I don't understand. I don't understand. So I'll do that now. Not a fun card. I mean, what? I don't know. I mean, it's what? Do you mean it's just it's not exciting or something? Like, I don't get it. Alright, so he's got another Crash of Beast there. That's okay though, because we already have. You know, this is obviously the advantage of having Boris. Even if they get a blocker, I'll make my own rhinos, buddy. I'll make my own rhinos. So I'm going to play the Crow Feather here. Do that main phase. And if I wanted to, I could Vine Lash this rhino, but I don't need to. It's not important. We'll save the save that for actual stuff that is. It means people want to play stuff that is fun. Yeah, I mean, I don't understand. I mean, I love doing killing multiple things for one card. Like, how is that not fun? So that's why I'm saying, like, what does that mean? Like, it's not, what do you mean by not fun? Is it just not fun because it's like, I don't know, it's just, that seems odd to me. I don't understand. Anyway, so, yeah, this is obviously, it's very likely he's also running Howling Brave into, you know, Rhinos, a Crash of Beasts plus the Bunny. Like, I'd be surprised if he wasn't running the Bunny, basically. Okay, so that's a very nice play by him. Thanks for that. That's he has the advantage of, you know, because we're going in the air, he needs to have flyers, which all it would be is a chump blocker anyway. But we'll kill that now, and yeah, looking pretty good. If he wants to, like, he's not in a good position, obviously. It's not something that a lot of decks can deal with if you're not ready. Like, even if you're running Heatwave, if you don't have it for that, you know, if I had a turn 1 Brave into this, if you don't have the Heatwave ready, then you're done. In a lot, because this just, it gets out of control. Hence the reason why it is so good in the meta. You know, you need to have obviously decks that can deal with it. You know, things that can deal with it. So I will fly over again here, just because why not? And I'll play out the other one here. So I'm going to get in 5 damage. I'm going to attack with everything, and yeah, I could have. The right play maybe was to do this, but nah. I don't think it is. I don't think it is. While I could, I mean, it's very likely. Okay, so he's actually going to trade, so that benefits me greatly, because now if he brings out, I mean, he could bring out something like yeah, no, it doesn't really matter. It's yeah, I still got the 1 charge for this, so that's pretty much guaranteed. Now he's got yesterday. All right, so that's annoying. Yeah. Nothing I can do about that, I just have to accept it, replay my dudes. But he's definitely got 100% yesterday right here. So we're about to get thrown back in time. Here we go. Okay, nope, I was wrong. Could be, I mean, is he going to do it or is he just dead? It's either, it's yesterday or lullaby, but he's going to the deal combat. He's either just waiting or he's just, alright, he's like, F it. Okay, I figured it would be yesterday because that I have seen decks with the Scissor G yesterday type stuff, but it is obviously a decent answer. But I guess he wasn't really running things that synergize with yesterday. But yeah, he didn't have anything there, which surprised me. That surprised me he had nothing. Alright, so who's trolling right now? Are you just trolling me? So yeah, no, Shafty, it refers to it basically a suite of cards, as Malachus points out there. You've got various cards that just prevent damage, and people call that fog. I think because of magic or something. I don't know. So again, let's go back over here. So the deck is definitely has some strong curves. I think it still has room for improvement, but you know, as I said, I haven't played it enough. I haven't played it bugger all really. But you know, it has been doing very well for those guildmates who have been running it in Gauntlet. So yeah, that's the deck. That was pretty much it. Does anyone have any questions regarding this, either via YouTube or in the chat right now? I refuse to call any deck in Hex Turbo Fog. Why? Oh, Army's here, going, buddy. What are you linking here? That's why we call it Fog. Let's have a look. Yeah, so there's yeah, that's fair. Yeah. So that is why there. So yeah, so things to take away. As I said, you know, if I was to change anything in this, I mean, I've kind of, as I pointed out, I've already been working on a list that I'm trying to make it more explosive, have more potential explosive curves, even if I don't get the Brave. Like, that's in these colors, like the because you're very reliant on the Brave to have a really explosive hand with the Runeer. You know, trying to utilize the fact that, you know, you're not always going to get it. You know, there's going to be many times where you don't get a Brave. So to then capitalize on that, you want to have my logic was to have more 2-drop threats. Like this guy's pretty cool, but maybe just doing more Starcaller stuff as the 2-drop threat is okay as well. But they do synergize rather well together, and then the deck still needs work. But this is way more of an aggressive style compared to obviously the deck I'm covering here. This one has, you know, lots of different interactions, and the other deck also isn't running Boris. It's which it can do though. Obviously, you can run Boris and Vine Lash in any Sapphire Wild deck if you so choose. But yeah, so that's pretty much the deck and pretty much the episode. Again, if you have any questions or whatnot, feel free to leave them in the chat, or not chat, in the YouTube comments. If you have any also recommendations for what deck you would like to see me cover on the next episode, please put that in the comment as well. So yeah, that pretty much wraps it up. I'll probably do a draft shortly, but that wraps up the episode there. So that was episode 13, Flying High. All about the flying hierophants. So, you know, that is just remember that if you're building constructed decks, obviously you have to take into account this card, but don't just rely. You know, you can't just rely on this guy here if you're in these colors. You do have to. I mean, it's really tough to beat a flying bunny. It really is. But yeah, go check out Hex Better and see what's up. It's a good resource for all that good stuff. So thanks for watching, and take care.